Welcome to the first Mailbag episode of Big Apple Breakdown. We are back from our little hiatus of live shows. It's been a bit. I've grown a beard. I've moved locations. Henry, how are you doing? And it seems like Henry's lagging, so I will get started as he joins. So, pretty much, guys, we're going to be doing these Friday mailbags. We're going to have a little bit of a new schedule coming out. Henry, are you here? Henry.
Yeah. I
Okay,
just
okay,
my
okay.
Wi-Fi went off the rails for
Okay,
a second,
so
but now I'm
Henry,
back.
how you doing? I was just explaining the schedule.
Doing good. I'm doing good. It's been a long summer. Our schedules kind of got intertwined. Johnny was working during the day. I was working at night. It was hard to come on here and make an episode, but now heading into the fall, we're back and we have a lot more time to make these episodes, and we kind of want to explain how we're going to be doing it this fall. So our idea for this fall is every Friday we'll do a mailbag type episode and also previewing the football games coming up, Jets, Giants, NFL as a whole, whatever is the pressing topic for the week. Sunday following Jets and Giants games, we'll come on as those games are winding down, just react to what's going on, and then after that recap the games. And of course, we got baseball coming up. We're going to figure out a schedule to go live to recap those games, maybe before some of those games, after some of those games. Maybe we'll just hop on randomly and talk about what's going on with the Yankees and Mets. So that's kind of our idea going forward here.
Yes, it's going to be an exciting time as football comes. And MLB playoffs come. This is one of my favorite times of the year for sports. Tons of content coming as both the Giants and Jets start their season Sunday. So you'll have our immediate reactions to those games. And then the Friday, we'll probably preview who they play week 2. If they have a Thursday night game, we'll figure it out, probably do a day before. But that'll be fun because Friday's a good time because you can see who's playing, who's healthy, maybe some different game plans. And then for the playoffs, for the MLB playoffs, that's going to be really fun because we'll be doing a ton of content for that because the most likely scenario, knock on wood, is that both the Yankees and Mets should be in the playoffs as they are both wildcard teams right now. I would also like you guys to subscribe to our YouTube. We are 1 subscriber away from 50, and then we're close to 300 followers in both Instagram and TikTok. So be sure to follow those social medias.
Of course, it feels like we keep hitting 50 and then losing one. So
yeah,
hopefully we'll hit that mark.
Hopefully we'll be able to keep that mark as we'll be uploading more on YouTube. So I think we should get right into the mailbag then. Are you ready, Henry?
Yes, sir.
All right. So the first question is, if the Giants are 4-6 or 5-5 after 10 games, should they still leave Dart on the bench? I guess I'll answer this one first, but to me, in my opinion, yes, they should still keep Dart on the bench. Overall, I think the Jackson Dart starting situation is probably the biggest headline coming out of the Giants preseason. He looked amazing. He dominated. Of course, preseason, got to take it with a grain of salt. But the Giants would probably still be competing for a wild card spot, technically, at that point. Who knows if they'd actually make it. And if they're 4-6 or 5-5, they would have beaten some good teams. If you look at their schedule, they probably would have beat a few playoff teams then. And I would keep Russell Wilson in there. But history tells us they wouldn't, because in 2004, when the Giants had Eli Manning and Kurt Warner, they were 5-4, and they put Eli in and kind of gave up in that season as the Giants lost 6 straight after Eli came in. But so that's why I think they should keep Wilson in. I know Dart had a great preseason, but stick to the plan. Put Dart in when he's ready, and don't rush him in. That's my thinking with it.
I feel like it's all relative, of course, to how Russell Wilson's playing. You know, if you're 5-5, 4-6, and you feel like you can unlock something, then maybe you make that change. If Wilson's play is just stagnant and the offense really needs to unlock something, then maybe you do that. But I think if you're in that type of position, you just roll with Wilson and keep winning football games. If you get down, if you start out 0-5, then maybe make that change. But I don't think if you're in the position for a wild card, I don't think that's good for Brian Daboll and his job to just start making changes like that.
And I actually think this might be the Giants' low-key nightmare scenario. Let me explain, because if they're 0-3, I think that's when you can first see darts start. I made a TikTok about it, week 4, home against the Chargers. But if they're like competing, if they're bad, they have an easy excuse to bench Russell Wilson and put Jackson Dart in. But if they're in position to make the playoffs, it's kind of a tough spot, because you might want to see what you have from the kid, but Russell Wilson's a very respected figure. He might be a future Hall of Famer, and they very obviously, this is not a fact, but I think most people assume this, they guaranteed him the starting spot in order for him to sign in the offseason. And I don't know if you remember 2 years ago when the whole Broncos and Sean Payton wanted benched Russell Wilson, it got ugly. And I know a lot of Giants fans can say, oh, like, who gives a crap what Russell Wilson thinks? But Russell's a very respected figure among the other NFL players. And my thinking is that could hurt future free agents if you don't handle this possible situation well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense because, as you said, he's very respected. He's always handled himself in the right manner. So it would be a bad look for the Giants franchise to go ahead and do him dirty like that.
So, yeah, if they're just 0-3, it's easy. So I think that's low-key might be the easier case for them. But, Henry, you want to read the next question?
Yeah. So the next question is, who is your surprise team to make the playoffs this year? And who's your surprise team to not make the playoffs? So I'm assuming for the surprise team to not make the playoffs, are we going to pick a team that made it last year and
yes,
isn't going to make it this year?
Yeah. So think of last year's Commanders and last year's Cowboys, I guess, is a good example. So I actually, I'm kind of leaning someone in the NFC North for a team that might not have a great year.
I'm thinking the Lions.
That's what I was gonna think. You lose both coordinators, and that division is just loaded, man. Especially with the addition of Micah Parsons. The Packers are going to be really good. I'm a believer in the Vikings with J.J. McCarthy. I think they got something good going on there. That's a great system. And the Bears, I think the Bears are going to be a lot better. So I could see the Lions having a down year. Remember the Eagles, when they lost both their coordinators 2 years ago, really struggled.
Yeah, I agree. I'm picking the Lions. I'm trying to pick a different team so we're not just picking the same teams. Maybe
I feel like a cheap answer is the Bengals
to make it.
To make it. I'm not going to go with that. I could see the Commanders having a down year. They won a lot of one-score games last year. Had an awesome playoff run. I'll give them that. They killed the Lions. They beat Tampa, I believe, week 1. That team, I could also see Tampa. They've kind of been dominating the NFC South. I wonder if this is the year that maybe in Atlanta makes a run. And I'll actually give you my sleeper team then. I think Carolina could possibly have a lot better every year. I liked what I saw from Bryce Young last year when he came back from being benched, and I think they could have a really good year this year for the
down the stretch,
in 9-8.
Yeah, he really progressed nicely. Maybe the Seahawks first-year head coach with Darnold. They got Cooper Kupp, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Kenneth Walker back there. Like, I think maybe they could surprise some people.
I've seen a lot of people high on them, actually, Seahawks. I mean, I don't know if I feel like this should count as a disappointing team. Even though they didn't make the playoffs last year, I don't think San Fran's gonna have the bounce back season that some people are expecting. I kind of think their ship has kind of sailed. They lost. I don't know. I'm not as high as them as I think a lot of people are expecting that.
I could see it going either way. I could see it going exactly how it went last year, or I could see them just riding the ship and being like, oh, last year was a total fluke. But they are older, and they just signed Brock Purdy to that giant contract. They kind of got their hands tied with him a little bit.
Right? I mean, like, you lose 2 Super Bowls. They've made a lot of deep playoff runs. Sometimes, I don't know, I just feel like, unfortunately, that franchise probably missed their opportunity to win a Super Bowl. That's just the way I look at it. So, I don't know. I like the NFC West. I still like the Rams in that division. I think Seattle's going to have a good year, and I think Arizona's going to be improved too. So, those are some of our teams. Anything else to add?
No, I think we covered everything. I don't think Arizona's gonna. I think Arizona's gonna be horrible.
You think they'll be horrible? Okay, I think they'll be
know.
respectable. I like Kyler Murray. I like their head coach. I'm forgetting his name, but he's from the Eagles.
Gannon,
He's their defensive coordinator. Yeah.
Jonathan Gannon.
So what is the New York Yankees starting lineup against right-handed pitching in their first playoff game? Are Dominguez and Wells on the bench? Does Goldschmidt start? So I believe we both came up with lineups. Henry, if you
Yes.
want to share yours first.
So my lineup is batting first, Trent Grisham in center field. I have Judge batting second, out in right field. Hopefully that elbow is good enough to go out there and play right field. I got Ben Rice as a starting catcher, Stanton as a DH, Belly as a left fielder, then Jazz batting sixth at second, Goldie batting seventh at first, McMahon batting eighth at third, and Cabanero batting ninth, playing shortstop. I took Volpe totally out of the lineup. I think Rice and Goldie could flip flop, and you could take Goldie out of the lineup and put Wells in there at catcher. And you got to have Ben Rice in the lineup either way. But yeah, that's my lineup.
So mine's very similar to yours. I tried to go kind of realistic. I just had Belly and Stanton flip flops. I think I think everything else is the same. If it was up to me, I personally am a fan of doing the Judge, Belly, Stanton back to back to back. In my opinion, I would have Rice fifth if it was up to me. But I don't. Based on Aaron Boone's lineups, I think Rice will be batting third. I also think just overall, I think Ben Rice has earned the everyday playoff catcher spot. I like what he's done defensively. I think that's been a very underrated part of his game. Obviously, he's 10 times hitter. Austin Wells is. And then, we both have Anthony Volpe off the bench. To me, there's no reason for that guy to be playing in a playoff game. He just is been terrible on the bat. I know he had a good game actually yesterday, but before that, he was like 1 for his last 34, and he's a bad defender. So there's no reason you can play that guy in the playoffs.
He had a good game yesterday, but in that second inning, he had that error that really the Yankees were up 4-0. Will Warren ended up giving up a grand slam, and it started with that error that Volpe had there in the second inning. So
exactly. It's frustrating to see, and I don't see how you can trust the guy. He's had such a bad year. I think the Yankees have handled his development really poorly, as I think Henry's lagging a little bit. But I'll go on. I've thought about this. So the way the Yankees are handling Jason Dominguez is what they should have been doing for Anthony Volpe. Jason Dominguez, to me, has shown a lot more promise than Anthony Volpe. If you look at his stats, he's about a 255 hitter. The power hasn't been there, but he's a 22-year-old rookie. He's good to be a good hitter, but he's not hitting lefties, and he's a liability out there in the field. So the Yankees, by pretty much keeping this guy on the bench, are telling him, hey, you know what you need to improve on. You're not going to play unless you become better against lefties as a right-handed batter or better in the field. And that message is going to get to him. By playing Anthony Volpe every day, sure, he knows what he needs to improve on, but there's nothing for him to be like, oh, wow, if I don't improve, my spot is not going to be there. He has been comfortable because he's been the everyday shortstop since he came up in 2023. And the Yankees have handled this so badly. First off, his rookie year, he was hitting below 200. He should have been sent back down to AAA. Happened to Jackson Holiday. Anthony Volpe should be, in my opinion, you could argue him and Jason Dominguez should be in AAA right now because there's clear issues with their game that they need to improve on. And Volpe's still be playing a lot. Jason Dominguez really isn't playing much anymore, which I like Dominguez much more than I actually like Volpe. But I with the Yankees outfield, I understand why they're not playing. It makes a lot of sense, and he knows he needs to improve on. Volpe, on that case, it's just ugly the way they've handled it. And he's actually going downwards. And it's very unfortunate to see because this is a guy I want to cheer for. I mean, New Jersey kid, hometown kid. You want him to succeed. But we're just not getting the product we need from the kid. And if this keeps up, he won't be the shortstop of the New York Yankees. I mean, I don't know how. But anyways, I don't trust him in playoff games. Wells has had a horrible season hitting. So I'm sure there'll be, if let's say the Yankees make in ALCS, he will catch a few games. All right, I kind of just I'll keep it. So we mentioned Volpe, and I was kind of going on a little bit of a rant how he's been struggling, and I actually the way I kind of said the way the Yankees have handled Jason Dominguez, who I think has shown much more promise than Volpe ever has, is what they should have been doing with Anthony Volpe since 2023, because Jason Dominguez clearly needs to be better against left-handed pitching and be better in the field. And by not playing him, he knows that. He knows what he has to improve on. But by Volpe playing every day, there's not that much sense of desperation to get better at his live.
They just it's just a bad example to set, honestly, because I think a good example of this is the Orioles, the way they handled Jackson Holliday last year. He came up, he didn't play well, they sent him down. And that's not what hurts a player's confidence. Is it saying, hey, you need to improve, you need to get better, and then we'll bring you back up? That actually helps a player because they go back down. They don't have to, especially for a player like Volpe being in New York, he has to handle the pressure of the media, the pressure of the fans. That's something that Jackson Holliday is not dealing with in Baltimore. So don't you think getting Volpe out of the spotlight a little bit, sending him back down to saying, hey, you need to work on some of these things, don't you think in the long run that would help him better?
I mean, totally. I mean, it doesn't help that he's getting put out there every day, getting booed every single day by Yankee fans. Yeah. It's every single night now. And I totally think sending him back down to AAA is the right move. I think Jason Dominguez, too, who I think is going to be a really good MLB player one day. But it's all right. Like, you could set, like, Jackson Holliday, I mentioned that before, too, while you were out of here. But that's a great example. He got sent back down, and that kid was the number 1 overall pick. Like,
exactly,
it's frustrating, and I just can't. If you put him in the playoffs, it's just he makes it easy. If he doesn't hit well or makes an error, oh my god, it's gonna get ugly.
Your audio sounds.
Go ahead, sorry. Does it? Has it been like that the entire time?
No, it just started.
But all right, I'm gonna take my headphones out, and if you want to read the next question, I'll move myself.
Now that the Jets have released Aaron Rodgers and he moved on to Pittsburgh, will he thrive in Pittsburgh, or is he a washed-up old man?
Is this better, by the way?
Yeah, it's way better. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll take this one first. I don't think he was even ever a washed-up old man with the Jets. He definitely is a shell of his former self, but he was still a good quarterback last year. I think most of the things that the Jets had problems with was his antics, and after the games where there were a lot of times where he would just blame other people. There was a prime example of Mike Williams. I believe it was after the Pittsburgh game. Said that Mike Williams ran the wrong route, and that wasn't just a one-off thing of him blaming someone else. He did that in most of the games that the Jets lost, I believe in the Broncos game too. And I think now he's going to an organization in Pittsburgh that has a rich history of winning, has a rich history of culture, and I just don't think they'll put up with that, even though it's Aaron Rodgers, the superstar quarterback, NFL future Hall of Famer. I just don't think they'll allow that to slide.
Yeah, the term washed is funny because to me, like, wash is Peyton Manning at the end of his career. Of course, you're like you said, Aaron Rodgers was maybe the most talented quarterback ever in his prime. You can go that far. He's not that, but he's still a very capable NFL quarterback. And I do think the Steelers are just a much classier organization than the Jets, and he'll have more success there. But as far as the Steelers' chances of, like, Aaron Rodgers' goal is to win a Super Bowl, and I don't see them. I think they're a fringe wildcard team. I think that's a legit possibility, but the AFC's loaded, and even their own division, Baltimore is one of the best teams in the league, and a lot of people think Cincinnati's going to be improved. I mean, I think their defense is terrible. That's a different topic. But I guess this question's kind of somewhere in between, as I think he'll have a much more successful tenure with the Steelers and the Jets because Mike Tomlin could sleepwalk to 500. So you add a Aaron Rodgers is probably their best quarterback since the end of Big Ben's prime, hypothetically. So
yeah,
they should be a lot better than those Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, old Big Ben teams.
I think the Steelers will impress some people, but I think it's more of a testament to the Steelers and less to Aaron Rodgers. I like the moves they made to bring in all those veterans, DK Metcalf, Jalen Ramsey. I thought some I don't think it was like a desperate move, but I think it's like an all-in move, like saying the fans are frustrated, they're calling for major changes, so we're going to go out there and we're going to do something about it.
Well, it's tough for that organization because they're never bad enough to fully embrace the rebuild. So, I understand why they're going for guys like Aaron Rodgers, because it is really hard to find a quarterback unless you're terrible and draft one. I mean, you've had the cases of Tampa with Brady and LA with Stafford that brings you to Super Bowl level, and then even Detroit with Goff, where maybe you'll get a trade, but that's not very that doesn't happen much. Most of the time it's if you're good, you're signing a veteran for a year or two, or you draft one.
Like we saw that with the Colts, how they just had a rotating window. And then even the Falcons with Kirk Cousins.
Oh, yeah, the Colts, since Luck retired, just have been rotating veteran quarterbacks, and now they're giving up on their project, which that's a whole nother conversation. Starting former Giants quarterback Daniel Jones. Don't really understand it, but yeah, overall, are we going to this Colts topic?
So sorry. Before they brought in Daniel Jones, they were bringing in Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, guys who people were like, oh, like they'll be finally a good veteran quarterback for them. Obviously, Phillip Rivers was good, brought him to the playoffs. Matt Ryan was horrible.
Oh my God, I forgot Matt Ryan was there.
Like, yeah, I don't know.
Carson Wentz, I remember him too. Oh my God, dude. Yeah, the rent a quarterback they've done. They'll get Mahomes at the end of his career. It's hilarious. I mean, the whole Andrew Luck retiring in the middle of his prime
that just ruined that franchise.
Still has an effect on them. I mean, that's crazy. But I'll move on to the next question. So this one's pretty simple, but what are our thoughts on Nolan McClain? Nolan McClain is the new top prospect pitcher for the Mets who got called up. And so far he is 3-0 with a .08 ERA. So, I mean, he's been good. The Mets starting pitching is bad, and he's been a bright spot to them. I think the starting pitching is very questionable for the Mets. So as far as, is this guy going to be starting playoff games? I wonder, because Senga has been great. Sean Manaea has been bad. I don't know if they're going Clay Holmes in the playoffs. So it'll be very interesting to see how much they trust this kid.
He obviously he'll come back down to earth. This is just an incredible start, but he has been everything, like way more than what the Mets even could have thought he would have been. Just the way he pitches. I didn't get to see his game against Philly. I was at work, but he went 8 innings. He kind of reminded me, watching Garrett Cole in the playoffs for the Houston Astros, the way he throws that heater and then his off-speed stuff, the way he can work his off-speed stuff off of it, just has the ball on a string, hits his spots that he wants to hit, just nasty stuff. And I like the way he talks too. He's very confident. He made a comment something along the lines of, these are the best hitters in the world, but my fastball plays here too. So, something like that. And just incredible to see the confidence and him going out there to play and backing it up.
I know. I wonder how much they trust him in a playoff setting, because typically you don't put these rookie, especially a guy that just got called up. He's gonna have 2 months to pitch before the playoffs, and they're gonna be at a winner go home scenario pretty much, 3-game wild card, unless they do catch up with the Phillies, which, although they've been dominating the Phillies, I still don't see that happening. I just wonder how much they'll trust him in the playoffs, because that's a lot to put on a young guy. But they are desperate for starting pitching. I mean, Manaea hasn't been in it this year, and Senga's been struggling, and Montas, who that's a fail officially. I mean, he's not going to pitch all of next year as he just got hurt. Holmes, I mean, I guess you kind of call, I don't know, you guess I kind of call a success, but see someone you're going to pitch in the playoffs, I wonder, as a starter, or he's not going to go very long if I had to guess. So it'll be very interesting to see how the Mets handle a 3-game wild card with their pitchers.
Unless he totally falls off the face of the earth, I think he will be thrusted into one of those spots. Right now, I still think Manaea is going to turn this around. He had a good start the other night. He was responsible for 2 of the runs, I believe, but those were runners inherited to the next pitcher when the Mets walked it off against Philly. I think Manaea will still take that role as the lead guy pitching in the first game, and I think you'll see McLean at some point. I just don't think you're going to put him in that spotlight of pitching in the first playoff game. Yeah,
it'll be interesting because they might not have a choice but to pitch this guy. Like it really might come down to that. So, I mean, since we're on this topic about a possible 3-game rotation for the Mets, I mean, I've been thinking about it for the Yankees. Obviously, you got the two lefties with Rodon and Fried, but I'm kind of thinking Cam Schlittler might be the third guy. I mean, he's been awesome.
He has been great, and I would agree with that. I don't think Will Warren's been as bad as we say he's been.
I like Will Warren.
A lot of people have said he's been. I think he maybe could jump Schlittler in that just because
he's an argument. Mm-hmm.
He's been here all year. But Schlittler, he's going to be a superstar, I think. He is nasty, tall, lanky. That pitch, just the way he pitches, throws heat. So,
and then who am I missing? Who's our 5th starter? Why am I blanking right now?
Rodon,
Fried, Schlittler, Warren. Why am I blanking? Hold on. We're blanking right here. I'm checking real quick. Rodon, Schlittler. Oh, Luis Hill. I don't know if that route. He pitched well, I believe, last game.
He did.
But maybe, I mean, he pitched a playoff game last year. He pitched a World Series game last year, actually, and he pitched a playoff game last year, and they didn't. I don't think he went more than 4 innings, if I remember off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm. So I think you're right.
So they didn't trust him to go very far, and I kind of, you might see that with the Yankees starters because they got a pretty good bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what so last year, this is a little bit about Devin Williams, since this got me thinking. Last year, Clay Holmes saw a lot of the 6th, 7th inning of like playoff games, or even 5th inning sometimes. I wonder if that's how the Yankees go with Devin Williams.
I feel like it might be because he thrives more in low leverage situations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is with the Yankees. Now you had Clay Holmes. He was way better in low leverage situations. And now you have Devin Williams. These 2 guys at one point were the most dominant closers in baseball at their respective time.
I mean, at least Clay did it with the Yankees.
And Clay did it with the Yankees and then just fell apart last year. Devin Williams, I get it. He did it in Milwaukee in a very small market and got to New York and he couldn't thrive on the big stage. But I see that's the spot for him and Bednar as the closer.
And then Weaver will be the setup, and then Duvall will be later on. Loiza's out for the year, so you'll have Tim Hill in big situations. Yarbrough, I think, could be the other lefty coming in. He pitched really well. He had that stretch early summer, I want to say, where he was starting, but I don't see a spot for him in the rotation. So he'll be in there, and then Fernando Cruz will be in there, and
even when Yarbrough started, he was more like a what's the term? Like a
long man?
No, instead of he was more like an opener.
Yeah.
Extended opener.
Mm-hmm.
He pitched more than 1 inning.
I mean, is Hamilton back yet? I don't think he is.
No,
he could be in the mix. too. They'll have Jake Bird. I don't see making the playoff roster. He's been in AAA, been bad. So that we'll see how the end of that bullpen comes out. But was that okay? Yeah, wow. We went really off track in the Nolan McQueen question.
Yeah.
After sweeping the Phillies in dominant fashion, do the Mets have the pieces and the potential to win the NL East? We kind of touched on that a little bit, but I mean, I think the Mets put themselves in such a I can't think of the word, but they put themselves in a bad spot with their really bad stretch in the middle of the summer. Same with the Yankees. So I think the division, at least for the Mets, I think the division is a little more out of the reach with them than the Yankees. But as far as a playoff scenario, I don't see any reason why the Mets can't win a wild card round and be right back in the mix, competing for the National League.
I agree with that. I don't think they'll catch up to the Phillies. I know they're only 5 games back or 4 games back or whatever, but we saw with the Mets last night, the way they lost to the Marlins. They kind of fell apart there, and I trust the Phillies more than I trust the Mets. So I think the Mets are going to make 5 back. Okay, so I think the Mets are going to make the playoffs, but I don't see them catching up to Philadelphia.
Yeah, they're 4 up on the Reds. Unless they have a total meltdown, they should still make it.
I also think coming off of the series against Philly, if the Mets face Philly in the playoffs, that they have a good chance of beating them. But I don't think that they're catching them.
They've won 10 straight games at Citi Field against the Phillies. They have been dominant going back to last year's playoffs. So, all right. You want to read the next question?
Yeah, the next question. Simple question here. Should Jackson Dart start week 1?
It's tough.
You want to take this one first or you want me to?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm really excited about the Giants this year. Preseason got me excited, and Dart has looked awesome. And I think a lot of the main media is kind of ready for Dart to start. If there was no Russell Wilson, I think you could make a very compelling argument. But
like if it was just Jameis and Dart?
Yes. I think Dart's going to be the QB2, but I don't think he's fully ready yet. I think he should sit the first 3 games. If the offense looks bad or they're 0-3, I think you put him in. But like I said before, they've clearly guaranteed Russell the starting spot. He's a very respected figure. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback possibility, and you put him in. You start Russell, and if the Giants are winning, the offense, I mean, they could win some ugly games, like that does happen, but with their competition, they're going to have to be moving the ball to win win these games. I mean, you start week 1.
I agree. I don't think you should start week 1, and it's also less of a testament to testament to Jackson Dart, more of a testament to Russell Wilson, just what he's proven in the NFL. I get it. He hasn't been the same player the last few years, but he still is like you said, well-respected, capable quarterback. And I also think it's a luxury that you can not start Jackson Dart. These rookies nowadays, you sit them for maybe a full year, maybe halfway into the season, and they come in and they're way more prepared. They're better straight on. Right away. I know Stroud and Daniels last 2 years. I think those guys are kind of anomalies of things we've never seen before because they both had historic rookie years, and history would tell us that we're not going to see that out of Dart. If anything, we'd see a really bad year, him throw a lot of interceptions, and that's not to say that he's a bad player. That's just saying that you go through those growing pains in the NFL. So it's better to sit, better to learn, so that when you get into the game, you're much more prepared.
And I mean, I agree. I mean, back to I'm not trying to over exaggerate the capable player that Russell Wilson is, but when we had Justin on here a few months back, I mentioned that I think this is the Giants' best quarterback since 2015, which was the last year of Eli Manning's I wouldn't say prime, but he was a very capable quarterback still at that point, and he agreed with me. So the Giants are putting themselves in a situation that they couldn't say the last few years, where they have I mean, look, I know it's just preseason, but they put up a lot of points in preseason. They average like 35 points a game, and it's in an 18-week season. I like how they have 3 very capable quarterbacks with Wilson, Winston, and Dart. And I think you got to let it play out. I know there was some rumors they were going to trade Winston, but my thinking with Winston is, let's say it's week 1 or 2 and Russell Wilson gets hurt. I'd rather put Winston in because I don't want Dart to go in because Russell's hurt. I want him to go in because he's ready to play.
Yeah, you don't want him to go in unexpected, get just thrown in there. I mean, different situation, but we saw that with Zach Wilson when Aaron Rodgers got hurt. And obviously Zach Wilson wasn't a rookie, but he didn't think he was getting thrown into the game. And yeah, he didn't think he was going to play one snap. So
yeah, so there's you only can make your NFL debut once. I think the Giants put Daniel Jones too early in. He started week 3, and we saw that played out, of course. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. We're all excited about Dart, but I think we still got to wait a little bit. I'll move on to the next question. Okay, so what's the ceiling for both the Jets and Giants? How about you start off with the Jets?
Okay. I actually think both these teams will surprise people. I think the Giants have a higher ceiling than the Jets this year. And I think the Giants' ceiling, just because they have Russell Wilson, we'll see what Malik Neighbors does. That defense is pretty good, in my opinion. I think their absolute ceiling is 10 wins. But that's obviously, I don't think that will happen. The Jets' ceiling, I honestly think 7 or 8 wins right now. I think that passing game is going to be atrocious, but I think that running game is going to be really good. Their defense is really good. I like the pickup of Harrison Phillips on that interior D-line. I think their secondary, Sauce is going to have an improved year. We got Andre Sisco from Jacksonville, hometown guy. I think he'll be good. So that's the Jets ceiling, 7-8 wins. The Giants ceiling, I think, is 10 wins. Will either of those teams get it? I think the Giants are more likely to reach that, and the Jets, I mean, we haven't seen them have a great season in a long time, so maybe they're due.
I think if the Jets, I mean, I'll start with the Jets. I know they kind of looked a little, it's just preseason, but I know I didn't love the way they looked. I didn't love the way Justin Fields looked, but I also was surprised by how many sloppy penalties they had. So if they could clean that stuff up and you should run the ball a lot and have a good defense, those type of teams can bang out 9 wins to me. We're talking about ceiling. This is best case scenario. So I don't think any of these scenarios are likely. I don't see a reason why they can't go wild card round sneaking. The AFC East, I don't think Miami's gonna be very good. And New England is a very hypothetical team.
Of course.
The Bills are gonna be the Bills, but that division's less crowded than the Giants. And with the Giants, I'll just say this real quick. Like, if this team's very talented, I think if you look at them, and maybe there's a few teams that aren't as good as we thought they'd be on their schedule, and Russell Wilson has a really good year, and the offense is a lot better than we thought, then 9 or 10 wins, wild card. I think both these teams. I mean, that's like a boring answer. Like, we're talking about best. Like, the 2022 Giants won a playoff game. No one thought that's not very talented.
I also want to touch on your point about the Jets' penalties, because it's almost Yankee-like coming into this year where we're talking about how the Yankees are going to be a much more disciplined team, things of that nature. And that's what we were talking about with the Jets. And with the Jets, I believed it more because it's a new regime, new coach, new all of that. And that was one of their top standards that they were setting. And for them to come out the way they did, and it was their last preseason game, really, they had a ton. And Membu had 2 penalties. He played 1 drive and had 2 penalties. So they got to clean that up. They got to I think they will. I think Aaron Glenn is the right guy, and I trust him fully. So,
of course, it's preseason, so we're just going. It's preseason. We got Giants looked very high in preseason, so It's I'm trying not to get too hype on the hype train. I'm good to say with the Jets preseason. This is where you get that stuff out of the way. But I know against the Giants, they looked very sloppy too. And from what I've seen in I'm not the biggest Justin Fields fan, just in general. I think he's Daniel Jones with more aura. Very good athlete. But I think there is a model for the Jets to win some football games. And if they follow them, if the Jets can't get behind, that passing game is just not good enough. Their receiving room's terrible, which I know we have a question about later on. But besides Garrett Wilson, I mean, not a very good receiving room. But if the Jets can have leads, time manage very well, there's no reason why this team can't bang out 9 wins. That's a model of NFL which teams can win in, even if you're not very talented.
Yeah, this almost reminds me a little bit in Zach Wilson's second year, the year before.
They were 6-3 at one point, right? Or 7-3.
6-3 or 7-3. Yeah, you're right. And they were winning a lot of games, not because of Zach Wilson, but his play was so bad. They were winning games because of the running game and because they got the ball into their playmakers' hands, and their playmakers did something with those opportunities, and their defense was great. I think we're going to see more of that, where they're just grinding out these wins. If they grinding out these games, maybe getting some wins, but it's going to be much more of that than, putting trust in your quarterback.
Okay, so I think we'll move on to the next question, which is kind of what we've been talking about. Similar question. Who's the better QB between Russell Wilson and Justin Fields?
I think it's quite obvious.
I think it's Russell Wilson, but I think if Fields, I mean, we've been saying with Fields his whole career, really. If he unlocks his potential, I think it very well can be Justin Fields. And I think Russell Wilson is a more capable quarterback, but there's a chance Russell Wilson plays 3 games as a Giant. Like, that is the reality of this. And Fields is going to be the starting quarterback for the Jets for probably 2 years. Unless he has a really good year this year.
I think Russell Wilson will play much more than 3 games for the Giants. I honestly think he'll go out there, prove people wrong, have a good year. Justin Fields, of course, is still unproven to this point. I think he has, for going into this year at this point right now, has a higher ceiling than what Russell Wilson has for this year. But if you're going to talk about who is the better player, more proven player, what you're going to get out of them, it's obviously Russell Wilson. We've seen it in the biggest moments in football ever, biggest moments of his career. He came through and won big games. Justin Fields.
Wait, I didn't cut you off. Keep going.
Justin Fields, there's questions if he can throw the ball accurately, if he can make reads. Like Russell Wilson, you're not going to have those kind of questions.
I was always on the train last year that benching Fields for Wilson was the right idea for the Steelers. These two were, of course, teammates last year. So there is a way of winning with Justin Fields. It's just very sloppy football. And I think Russell Wilson's a much more capable quarterback, can move the ball down the field. So I think I'll have to lean Russell Wilson. But it's just interesting because like I said, Fields is the Jets guy, at least for this year. And everyone's talking about when Russell Wilson's going to get benched. So it's just a funny scenario to me.
And there's a way to win with Justin Fields. We saw it last year with the Steelers. It was kind of surprising when the Steelers moved on, but they won in spite of Justin Fields. They didn't win because necessarily of Justin Fields. So, yeah. So we'll move on to the next question. This is a Jets question. This person asked, what are your realistic expectations for Aaron Smith and Malachi Moore? So, of course, Aaron Smith was the Jets' 3rd round wide receiver draft pick. Malachi Moore is a DB rookie. They're both rookies. Aaron Smith from Georgia, Malachi Moore from Alabama. Aaron Smith, he is just a speedster. He can outrun pretty much anyone, but his knock is that he can't catch the ball. He's a wide receiver. It's not when he got drafted was always that he can't catch the ball. Obviously, we have a question coming up about the Jets wide receiver room, and it is pretty bad. I don't know what we'll see out of Arian Smith. Maybe he'll get thrusted into a returner role or something, but I don't think that expectations should really be high for him. I think he'll get some run and he'll need to just because of how thin the Jets are at wide receiver, but I wouldn't expect him to light the world on fire. Malachi Moore is someone who I'm pretty excited about. He had an interception in the preseason. Young DB. The Jets, between Sauce Gardner, Brandon Stevens, and Malachi Moore, I think that they're going to have a great secondary this year. You got Andre Cisco back there. I think they'll have a great secondary this year.
I'll just add on Aaron Smith. With the way the Jets are going to play, I just don't know how much opportunity there'll be for him. He's a speedster, deep ball type of guy. There'll be probably really, 2 or 3 opportunities, maybe a game for him to, make a big splash. It's kind of, I don't know if this, think of Jalen High with the Giants. I mean, deep ball guy, really, that's all he is. And he had less than 100 yards last year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how capable he is his rookie season. But
another comparison would be Malachi Corley last year. And look at him now; he got cut. Similar type of player, and Malachi Corley is more of he had an attitude issue. Didn't want to play special teams. Was kind of a bit of a locker room cancer. So he got cut after one season. He was a 3rd-round pick. So hopefully Arian Smith doesn't end up like him.
So, piggybacking on that, is this the worst receiving room in Jets history? I think we both have
so I was a little bit surprised when we got that question because I honestly think that question's a little bit ridiculous to ask. If you've seen just the kind of receiving rooms we've gone through the last few years, I think our worst one ever was probably 2020 when we had Jamison Crowder, Denzel Mims, and Rashad Perriman. We also had those guys, and our running back was an old, washed-up Frank Gore. I get it. Outside of Garrett Wilson, the receiving room is pretty thin, but you have a Breece Hall who is a weapon. You can use him out of the backfield. You can spread him out wide. He creates a matchup problem where he'll usually have linebackers on him. We saw that last year in the Jets' first win with Aaron Rodgers. I guess second win technically if you want to count the Bills win that he started. But in his first real win, we saw Breece Hall create a matchup problem where he caught a deep ball for a touchdown when he had a linebacker on him. So I think that is a crazy take to call this the worst one in Jets history because you have 2 great weapons, and they're thin at tight end, but I think Mason Taylor is a fine tight end. We'll see what he can do. Jeremy Ruckert, I think, is a total bust. I don't think he'll do anything. He didn't do much in the preseason. He was more used as a blocker. So I think it's safe to say he's not what we thought he would be. But yeah, Jets are thin at wide receiver, but they have weapons.
Yeah, Garrett Wilson alone is just he can't be the worst because there's some bad that 2020 receiving core. Those guys are bad receivers. Those guys are older too at that point in their career. Some of those guys.
Jamison Crowder was old. Denzel Mims was a bust, and Rashad Perriman was older. So,
all right, so we'll move on to our last question. Oh, actually, no, sorry, we have 2 more. Kyle Schwarber hit 4 home runs yesterday. 3rd player this year to do that. We've seen the Yankees have 2 9-home run games, and this last night they tied the record for the most home runs hit in a 10-game span with 33. What is going on with these baseballs?
So, obviously, we have all that. Cal Riley, I believe he's hit 50. He's at least at 49. Obviously, Aaron Judge is mashing the ball. Shohei Ohtani's mashing the ball. It feels like home runs are at an all-time high right now. And I think it's less of a testament of what they're doing with the baseball is less of a reason. I think it's more that, and you touched on this earlier before we started the episode, but pitchers are not what they used to be. They're more, they're more throwers. They're trying to throw the ball as hard as they can. That's why they throw out their elbows. We've seen way more pitching injuries, and then you have guys who maybe aren't deserving usually of pitching in the MLB getting thrusted into roles where they're pitching in the MLB. So I feel like the pitching talent is down, and that's why you're seeing guys mash balls more. The hitters are also way better, but pitching talent is down, I think.
Especially in these months when some of these teams' seasons are over, they're putting guys out there that are non-MLB pitchers. And even some teams that, like Andrew Heaney, I believe, just got cut because he reached his innings limits for bonuses. You saw what's similar to the Yankees with Marcus Stroman earlier. A little different of a scenario, but some of these bad teams that have veterans, they won't pitch these guys as much because they don't want to pay them for next year or give them a bonus. So you're seeing possible just rough projects that are in. And I mean, just look at the Yankees the last few. They've been just hitting the crap out of the ball against the Nationals and White Sox, and then they play a good team like Boston, which maybe a little bit different argument. We might get into this later at the end of the episode. But my point is, a lot of these bad teams are just getting to the finish line, saying 1-2-3 Cancun after every game, just finishing up the season, and they're putting guys out there that are not MLB pitchers. So that's part of it. But who knows? Maybe it is interesting that everyone's hitting more home runs. It feels like
maybe they are juicing the baseballs.
Yeah, who knows?
But yeah. All right. So our last question is, why doesn't Stanton play the field more?
So yeah, this one was from my mom. Well, so I get her point because he's been playing really, really well hitting wise. And if you look back earlier in his Yankees tenure, it kind of feels like whenever you play the field, he was hitting better. And, I guess it kind of makes sense. Your legs are warm. But with injury-prone Stanton and age, first of all, I thought Stanton would never play the field again up until this point. I was one against the idea. I will gladly be wrong about that take because he's been awesome this year. But he's just too old to play him every day in the field. And you don't want to you need that guy for the playoffs. So you don't want to get there.
I do like your point where you said that looking back when he's played the field, he's been better. But also, if we look at when it matters the most and when he's been at his absolute best, that would be the 2024 postseason. He obviously was a DH all throughout that. Yeah. So I don't think he needs to play the field to be at his best. I don't think he needs his legs to be warm to be at his best. I think he's just going to go out there. He'll just go out there and step up to the moment in the playoffs. So
he's even mentioned that he a lot of guys kind of look at the playoffs and regular season differently. He's mentioned very vocally that he embraces at bats differently. Like he takes the big pressure moments; those mean more to him, and the adrenaline gets him. So he'll be. That's my point. My thing is why you don't play him more in the field is because you need him. You need him so bad in the playoffs because
you need those legs to be fresh. You need his elbows to be all right. Like
the one guarantee for the Yankees in the playoffs, especially against good pitching, I think is Big G. Like unfortunately with Judge's playoff struggles and the inconsistency about this team, I think Stanton is just maybe still Judge's most important part if he comes up in the playoffs, but he might be the second most.
Yeah, I agree with that totally.
But before we end, I do kind of want to talk about the state of the Yankees because we've been very vocal how we feel about them on TikTok. I think both of us are. It's just I think the Yankees are such a frustrating team because they have games against the Yankees. I don't know if you know this. They are technically one of the hottest teams in baseball. It just doesn't feel like that because that series against Boston, and it's just so predictable because they're bullies. They beat up on bad teams, beat the crap out of them. And then, someone their size comes to the ring and they can't show up.
Yeah, they beat up on the Twins, Cardinals, Rays, lost 3 or 4 to Boston, beat up on the Nationals, swept them, and so far last night, first game of a 3-game series against the White Sox. They won 10-4. So they are very hot and they're heating up. But yeah, you're right. They're playing poor teams. But I think also their schedule lines up the rest of the way. You got Boston, then you got Houston.
They got a little tougher stretch. They got a bit of a tough stretch coming up. So that'll be very interesting for me to see because, dude, if they could win some of those, if they could go have a good run, they could get back in this division race. They got Toronto coming up.
You are right. They have a tough stretch coming up, and then after that lines up with to end the season Minnesota, Baltimore, Chicago, Baltimore.
Yeah, those are teams that are getting to the finish line. So they got a light schedule coming up. I mean, they got Chicago 6 more times, and Baltimore set. That's 13 games against bad teams, and especially at the end of the year, who knows who's going to be playing in those games for both those teams. So, but they do got an important stretch because the most realistic scenario is them playing Boston in the wild card round. And it's in that rivalry, you want home field. And although they will not have the head-to-head, if they could have a really good series against them, that could get them a bad or good series is going to get one of those teams home field.
Yeah.
That's pretty much is going to come down to.
Going into Houston, Toronto, Detroit, and the Boston series, you can use that to really lock in, heat up, and then stay locked in, beat up on those bad teams, maybe give you a bit of an edge, confidence boost going into the playoffs, and be ready to take on Boston or whoever you're going to face. But
I mean, if they could be a 2 or 1 seed if they really, really go on a hot streak. It's totally right there. But if you look at the evidence, you shouldn't believe they're going to have a good stretch. But as a fan of me, I want to think it's going to be different. But as like an analyst looking at that type of opinion, I don't see it happening. I hope. I mean, they are more talented than these teams. That is the frustration. They're a better talent than Boston. They're better than.
Are they though? I saw someone say that about Boston, and I forget who they were calling into. Something on WFN, I believe, and you can literally look at the Yankees' third baseman and shortstop. They're more talented there. I get it. Jazz more talented at second. It depends if you have Ben Rice or Goldie at first, and Ben Rice at catcher or Wells at catcher. I think Boston's lineup. Yeah, I think their lineup, Boston's lineup, is more talented.
Really, the Yankees got a good lineup, man. When they're hitting, you look at these guys' stats. I saw they might have 3 guys that hit 30 home runs as a left-handed batter. The only other I saw this stat. The only other left-handed batter to hit 30 home runs in the Judge era is Anthony Rizzo. So they're all. Oh, and Juan Soto. Sorry. Of course.
Yeah.
But Trent. I can't believe how good Trent Grisham is. Jazz. I mean, if you look at Jazz's 162 games as a Yankee, he's had a 40-40 technically season going back to last year.
Crazy.
And then Belly's awesome.
Yeah, the thing that really confuses me about the Yankees is you look at all these guys. It feels like they have a ton of guys that are having great individual seasons, more than just like 1 or 2. I mean, you got Judge, he's having to this point with his injury and everything. It seems like he's having a quiet MVP season. He's
still a favorite for MVP, even right now technically.
Because you got Judge, Stanton, Belly, Goldschmidt. Yes, cooled down, but overall he's been good. You got Ben Rice, Jazz Chisholm,
awesome.
Trent Grisham. Even Dominguez has been overall.
Dominguez is a bench player. He's a bench player. Yeah, I mean, and they definitely have more depth. I mean, a big thing for me last year was their playoff lineup was literally the same 9 players. Maybe you had a Trevino for Wells game. This year, I mean, when they have lefties out there, they got Rosario in the mix. They have totally different lineups, and they have 13 guys to play with. Because think of it, that lineup we just said versus right, you had Wells, Volpe, Rosario, and Dominguez off the bench. Like those are all guys you can play with. So and then maybe I don't know if Austin Slater will be in the mix when he comes back, but that's another guy that hits left-handers well. So Aaron Boone's gonna have a lot of toys to play with when it comes for playoffs and matchup pinch hit. There's gonna be a ton of pinch hitting situations, I think, which we never saw last year.
They just are too analytical and they overthink too much.
No, I mean, and they also just their defense. This fundamentally
bad,
feels like they're outplayed every single time in these big games. Every single time it feels like it.
I made a TikTok about this last night, and some people kind of dogged on me a little bit. I didn't like Jazz's comments about, oh, we're gonna go out there, win the division, and win the World Series.
I agree with that.
Like, bro, I think he's just got to keep his mouth shut.
Yeah, you're playing well. Like now, what do you think is gonna happen when you play Boston and Toronto? That's
exactly. And then people are all over social media are gonna use that against him. So someone responded to me and said, "What do you want him to say? We're gonna lose every game?" No, obviously not. But you don't go out there and proclaim, yeah, when you're 5 games back in August, yeah, we're gonna go out there, win the division, and then we're gonna go win the World Series.
I didn't see the question before, so I don't know what the question was. But even if they're like, oh, like, do you guys feel you get back in division? You know, you say something smart, be like, yeah, I feel like we got a chance at division with our upcoming schedule. Say a respectable thing. You don't have to just go out there and make those proclaims.
Yes, I just think it's just
it's unnecessary.
Yeah, unnecessary, and it's a bad look when it doesn't happen. So,
are we good? I think we got anything else to cover?
I think we've covered everything.
An hour or so. So are we gonna do an episode Monday Monday we'll do an episode to preview week 1 of the NFL season. So that will be exciting.
Yes, sir. Everyone, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow us on all our socials. Go check out Dugout Mugs. You get 20% off your order with code Big Apple. So check them out. We appreciate all the support. Let's keep it up. It's going to be a big NFL season, big MLB playoffs for us. So let's do it.
All right. Thank you, guys.